It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back. Welcome back. My name is Joseph James with your nightly newsletter for Wednesday evening, September 10th, 2014. Boy, we are flying through the second week of the month of September. Still getting a little bit of low volume, a little bit of sluggishness here this week, right? Tough to pin down exactly why. We got some profit taking earlier this week on the equity markets. Today, we finally saw those buyers coming back in. NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, everything pushing higher today on the E-minis. Crude continues to tumble lower, and then OPEC comes out of nowhere and says, bam, revising their global demand estimates for 2015 and smacking that crude down to $91 a barrel. I think we knew that was coming, didn't we? Absolutely, right? So we're selling short on crude every step of the way, and of course, gotta love the gold right now. Gold keeps pushing lower, hitting our targets. Boy, it's been a great week so far on our nightly newsletter, and I have another exciting, jam-packed event here for you guys and gals this evening. Now, before I get into all of the excitement here today, I want to remind you guys three important things. Make sure you're watching this video right now over here at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video on our YouTube page right now, there's a link right below the video. I've got three things for you guys here over on Sideways Markets. First thing here, right below tonight's video, there is a link to download all of the charts that I'm working with tonight. Make sure you guys download all of those charts so you have them ready for tomorrow's trading session. We're going to use them in our trade room tomorrow morning. Speaking of trade room, I have a special free pass for you guys. If you're not a member yet of School of Trade and you'd like to find out what it feels like to be a member of School of Trade, I have a special invite for you guys as a guest to come out on a free pass to attend our live trade room. You can get a free pass, upper left-hand corner. And then last but not least, the third thing here today, I have a nightly newsletter email list. If you'd like me to send you an email every evening when the newsletter is published, just give me your name and your email address, and we'll shoot you out the email every evening. Real quick reminder, if you register for the nightly newsletter list or you register for your free pass to attend our trade room, please make sure you check your email because I'm going to send you a verification email. All right? Make sure you're not a robot. Now, three things here. Download the charts below today's video, grab your free pass, and right above my ugly mug, you'll see the name and email box there for our newsletter. All right, guys, enough delay here. Let's jump right in. Markets were moving here today. What happened today? First of all, equities pushing higher today, crude oil pushing lower today, gold pushing lower today. And if anybody cares out there, they're drafting a diplomatic solution between Russia and Ukraine. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that'll be about as worth. That'll have just about as much worth as a Russian ruble right about now. Anyways, so looking at that, OPEC came in today. What else happened today? So diplomatic solution, right? OPEC comes in today and revises their 2015 global demand outlook for crude oil lower, as if we needed another reason to be selling short on crude right now. And don't forget, we are only about 12 hours away from remembering the day that changed the world forever. Tomorrow is 9/11/2014. We'll definitely be taking some time tomorrow to remember all of those poor souls that were lost in that tragedy, as well as all of the families that were affected by it. That is one thing that has left an indelible mark on pretty much all of us around the world, whether you're from the United States or not. So we look forward to celebrating life and remembering tomorrow. So as we lead into tomorrow, September 11th, we know that markets are moving here. Now, let's jump right in here and see what happened to the E-mini Russell today. Now, the Russell is still that oddball out right now. NASDAQ and Dow have not pulled back as far as the Russell. And remember, what we're dealing with the Russell right now is went all the way up, right? We tested the high there, or we tested the wedge resistance here at the highs, right? We know we've got a specific level here we're expecting when we see consolidation. So we test the wedge high at 87.7. We're wondering, are we going to head back down to 21.5? Not so fast. We test our short-term moving average cloud at 56.3. I've got one more stop on the way down at 36.5 before we finally finish the move lower. So you can see we definitely found some support here. The buyers came in and defended this area at 1156, and it couldn't have come at a better time, right? We talked about this yesterday. The Russell pulling back, and if you recall, earlier on this week, we talked about how we had one more stop down at 1154.8. If you remember from earlier this week, we found that head and shoulders pattern, right? That head and shoulders, of course, gives us the break, and we knew there would be potential here for a test of the long-term moving average before it potentially collapses here. So we are right there. Now remember, this is a great spot to be a buyer right now, but we're waiting a little bit to see if these buyers are going to take this thing back over. As you can see, I've revised this channel. The channel was drawn like this earlier on this week. We pulled back, we get a new low here now, and you'll notice if you get a little bit creative on this channel, right, draw them up, you'll notice now, remember, that's the first low, right? So connect them on over. Lines up very nicely here. So lots of support here as we pull back. It felt like those buyers had given up earlier this week. And we know, right? We do a lot of studying of the forefathers of technical analysis. And whether you're reading Dow or Gann or Wyckoff, we know that we give the trend the benefit of the doubt. And that's what we've been doing this week. We've been staying patient, giving that trend the benefit of the doubt. Now, this gives us a good overview of what's coming here in the future, right? We get a straight line up now, back to those highs, and we've got a lot of support levels here waiting for us on the downside. So it's going to be a little bit of a rocky drop here if we do go lower. Here's a much better chart. Here's a much better look at what's going on. Now remember, last night we talked about that trend life cycle, right? We talked about the fact that we had this move higher, right? The buyers are in charge, the bulls are in control, and then all of a sudden we start going sideways. This is what I was talking about when I said giving the trend the benefit of the doubt, right? We get this long-term uptrend. We can't just forget about that. We have to keep that in the back of our mind. I'm talking about right here. This is the most important area on this chart, obviously. My exact words last night was anybody can put together a new lower low. Let's wait for it to go up, and then if they take it down from here, now we know those sellers have ripped this thing out of the hands of the buyers. As you can see, we are right here in one of the best places you could be selling short right now. But we're also in one of the best places you could be buying long right now, right? Exhibit C, if you will, right? You can see we're in a very good spot here to be a buyer right now. So who's correct? Well, they're both correct. But again, we are going to give the benefit of the doubt to the long-term trend. You'll notice, guys, we still haven't crossed over yet to the bearish side yet. So we're still neutral bullish. We did a great job today in our trade room not forcing this thing to the downside. Again, it felt like those sellers were going to grab it. Really, it didn't really feel like the sellers were going to grab it. It felt like the buyers had just walked away. Profit taking, maybe they're waiting for later on in the week. Who the heck knows? It doesn't really matter to me why. All we know is last night we said, buyers, we need you here. The buyers had to come in and defend this area, and sure enough, you can see it went literally right to the tick at that 1153.2. That was one of the levels we gave you guys last night. So we know that this area was under significant pressure from those buyers and sellers, right? That was the battleground today. 1155 down to 1153, and it looks like those buyers won the battle tonight. But did they win the war? Let's find out tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a very, very important day for this Russell. As you can see, we are right here. If you draw the trend line off the highs, projected off the lows, we get a new bearish trend here, or bearish channel forming here on this. And this is nothing new, guys. This is very, very typical. If you go back in time, you can see the exact same thing happened over here. This time, we were going lower. Then we go sideways, right? Then we make the high, and we pull back, and then we went, right? So we were in the same position right here, right? Second week of August. the second week of August, we were in this position trying to see if the buyers could wrestle the control away. Then we spend the last 3 weeks here, buying on the Russell all the way up. We get just a few ticks below the all-time highs, or at the very least, the big round number of 1,200. And then again, for whatever reason, right, call it profit taking, we see a slight pullback. Felt like the buyers kind of gave up on it for a while. The sellers tried to grab it here today. They got beat up. We go higher here. Now, what comes tomorrow? Tomorrow's a very, very important day for us Russell traders tomorrow, that's for sure. If we make the next leg down, guess what? We're bearish. We are officially bearish. If we get lower lows tomorrow, sayonara, buyers. We are off to the bear side now. But I'll tell you right now, I don't like to trade my gut. My gut feeling is not a trading strategy. In fact, we do a lot of prep work, trader psychology, keeping our emotions under control. We do a lot to put the lid on our gut feelings as technical traders, right? Especially new traders. Our gut is untrustworthy. You can't trust your gut. Trust the charts. Trust the patterns, right? Find the trend, find the setup, find the entry pattern. My gut tells me right now, though, that we make a run for this 1169.8 and 1172. So let's have a think, if you will, about what would happen if price goes lower, price goes higher, and if price goes sideways. That way you're ready for anything going into tomorrow's session. If price goes sideways, nothing changes. We're still completely neutral. I've got the low at 53.2. I've got the high at 74.4. If we go sideways, this is my range. Sell the highs and buy the lows. If we go higher, my number one priority is getting above this 74.4. If I can get above 74.4, we got those buyers back in control, completely in control again, and we are back to buying again. If we go lower, as soon as I get below this 1153.2, I'm officially putting the nail in the coffin to the buy side, and we're off at the races now to the sell side. And we can imagine we're probably going to be hunting for right where we came from back at 1105. So we've got plenty of profit here waiting for us. The problem has been is that we don't quite have that oomph yet, right? We haven't seen it. Today was a day that we called a mile away, right? Today was that scenario where we kept getting that lower low in price, right? 10 ticks lower, 50 ticks back up. 5 or 6 ticks lower, 50 ticks back up, right? So if you were trying to sell retracements on this going lower, boy, oh boy, they just took your face off and then went lower again, right? It's a lot like trying to sell the lows of a bear channel or buy the highs of a bull channel. We do a ton of training on this stuff in our course materials, and we always do ongoing training at the end of each session. So we were not surprised by that today, but we have a plan for tomorrow, right? We have a plan for tomorrow. Right now, this is my range right now. 74.4 down to 53.2. Again, my gut tells me we jump up. Whether or not we keep going and I can start buying, that's to be determined. I don't think we're going lower, but if we do go lower, right, we end up getting below that 53.2, stay below it, and now we're selling short again. All right. Now remember, I'm going to give you guys and gals updates tomorrow in the trade room, live, in real time, ahead of time, so everyone knows what's going on. So what happens between now and tomorrow morning at 9:30 is very, very important. If we wake up tomorrow morning here in the U.S., 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the opening bell rings, if we're still inside this range, we're going to then start looking very closely at what's my market personality and then starting to adapt accordingly. Again, I'm very cautious, though, between these two areas right here. As far as I'm concerned, we are sideways at this time. Sideways, and again, we're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the buyers right now because of that long-term trend. All right? We've been talking about this all week. Tough stuff right now in the Russell. All right? This is the time we put the big boy pants on and we have to make very difficult decisions. This is the difference between a rookie and a professional. A professional says, I don't have an edge right now. And if I don't have an edge right now, why am I putting capital at risk? Right? We don't trade just to trade. If you want to push buttons, go to Vegas, right? Buy some video games, go to Facebook, whatever the heck you guys want to do. Day trading, though, you need an edge. And right now, we don't have that edge on the Russell, just my opinion. All right? So, on the lookout for tomorrow. Now, we keep going here down to that 16 anchor here on the Russell, and you can see this is go time. This is go time. If these sellers, if they want to take this thing lower, this is their chance. They're at the top of this channel, right? You can see a mile away here at the top of this channel, at the sell zone, right? I mean, it does not get much better than this. So if the sellers want to grab this thing, now is your chance. Knock, knock, right? Sellers are calling. They got to take it down from here. If they can't take it down from here, there's that high right there. So again, like I said before, my gut tells me, especially after we see this thing tag this 66.2 area, right? We see it go down, or should I say go up, right? Try to go now, right? Do we go to 72? Again, I think we probably end up somewhere around here overnight, around 1170 here overnight. Who knows, though, right? I mean, why try to predict? Make it easy on myself and yourself, and we're gonna wait and react tomorrow. I'm very anxious to see what tomorrow brings for the mighty mini Russell. Right now, though, if you do want to be a seller, you've got the green light. Green light here to be selling. What's my trend? Short-term trend is down. Long-term is up, though. So remember, be careful on the sell side right now. Be very conservative here to the sell side. You're not quite out of the woods yet. I know my short-term trend, though, is down. I'm at a sell setup right now. I've got targets waiting for me here, 53 even, 43.8, 38.2, and then don't forget, there is also the low of this long-term channel here that'll also make for an excellent target for you guys on the way lower as well, all right, if we happen to go lower tomorrow. Okay, so now you know my concerns about the Russell. They're pretty much the same concerns I had last night, but last night it appeared we were in a free fall. Today we can see the Russell buyers did a great job defending that area. Let's keep going. Over onto the gold. Can I get a round of applause, please? Can I get a round of applause here, please, for gold? Attaboy, gold. I knew you had it in you, gold. We kept on trying to break through the low of this range, and finally they poked their head through, and they were able to close through. That was the problem we kept having, right? They kept on having a troublesome time here closing below that low. Now we got the closed candle. Now see, this is a good example, right? What happened this week was we had this support trend line, and we kept getting these big wicks, right? We kept getting this wick down here. We kept getting this price action trying to get lower, and it kept wicking us back in, right? What that means is it means the sellers tried, but by the end of the session, they couldn't hold it, right? They kept on trying. They kept on bringing it back above it. Now we see here, though, now for the first time, we've got that candle actually closed below that low. Now remember, there are quite a few traders out there that think exactly like I do, right? And it's no surprise. It's the beauty of trading, right? The self-fulfilling prophecy along with the wisdom of crowds, right? Crowd psychology. This is why this stuff works. So we know this is most likely now going to energize the sellers. It's going to give people who were on the fence a reason to get short. It's going to give the buyers a reason to get the heck out of town here. So we now know we might just be getting started here on gold. We might just be getting started. Now remember, you may not have been around for the last 30 years. But what's the one thing we know about this commodity if you go back and look historically? It takes the stairs up and the freight train down and the elevator down, right? It moves fast to the downside. When people are done with gold, they are done with gold. So just you wait, guys. We may have ourselves in a very bearish environment here, more than we have been over the past few months, right? We've been talking about selling gold here since the beginning of June, right? This has been a very profitable market for us on the short side over the past few months. And if you've watched my newsletter, you've had a front row seat. Looking forward here now on the 64 anchor chart here on gold. Bottom line, 3 steps to success. There's not much else we got to say about this. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? I got red clouds. I'm below all the key moving averages. I've got lower lows. I can see lower highs. Very obvious, trend is down. But trend just tells me what direction to be looking at. How do I know when to get in? I find a setup. What is a setup? A setup tells me when and where to get in, right? So my trend tells me direction, buying or selling. Then I find a setup. The setup is a good timing tool, right? And it doesn't matter what type of trader you are or what type of student you've been in the market. We all know timing is everything, right? If not just with your spouse and your children, right? Timing is everything. So we know timing is important. So the setup tells me my timing function here, right? So I know I want to get short, but I can't just go selling every time I want to get short. I got to make sure I have the right timing on it. Now, where would we want to go lower here? Well, I've got sell setups. 1260.1, there's one setup, reversal line setup. I've got a trigger zone setup at 71.1, 77.3. I have a trigger zone here at 84.4 and 86.2. Those will do it for us for now. So you've got sell setups waiting for you guys to sell short overhead. And then, didn't we say there was 3 steps? Yeah, there was 3 steps to success, not just 2. Now we have the entry pattern. So the trend tells me direction, the setup tells me timing, and the entry pattern gives me a precise entry with quantifiable risk to reward. That's the most important part. If I just trade with the trend, that's not enough. How much am I willing to risk? Now compare that to what I expect for my reward. That's a great idea in theory, right? Sure, proper risk reward, but if I combine that with the proper setup and then the proper entry pattern, I've got myself a professional plan of attack. Now I'm going with the trend, I'm timing it properly, and I'm waiting for an entry pattern. Why? Because I want to be able to calculate what my risk is going to be. If I just jump in right now, where's my stop going to be? If I just jump in right now, JJ said, downtrend, I'll sell, right? Okay, sure, sell right now. Where's your stop going to be? Your stop's going to be where the trade becomes invalid, which in my humble opinion will be way up here. So am I really willing to put that much risk on it? No, not at all. And as my good friend Richard Wyckoff always said, we want to get into a trade as close to where that trade becomes invalid, right? So if my stop's going to be up here, I would much rather get into that trade right around here. And look at that, right near a sell setup. Jackpot. So we have a great situation right now on gold. But you know what the hardest part is? This dirty 4-letter word that nobody likes this word, right? I hate this word, W-A-I. Oh, gosh, get the kids out of the room. Horrible. Yeah, we got to wait patiently for it. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is waiting patiently for it. So we're going to wait patiently here, get that sell set up. I got targets waiting for me below, 38.9, 32 even. Don't forget the low of this channel as well for a dynamic target. And we got 14.1 on the downside. Looking good there on gold. Let's keep rocking, JJ. Let's keep going. What else do we have here? 32 anchor. Again, we already know my trend. Now where's my setups? We got setups here for you. 58 even, 61.9, 65.9, 68.5. We got some symmetry. And we got 71.8, 75.2. We got plenty of areas there to be selling short, right? Where would this trade become invalid? Where would this trend become invalid? Up here, right? We get above this 74.7, right? That's where this downtrend becomes invalid. Easy. So the closer I can get short here, right? The closer I can get to that to get short, the better off I'm going to be. The less amount of risk needed with the most amount of reward. Guys, this ain't rocket science. This is day trading, right? No, don't overcomplicate this stuff, guys. Get off of the other pages on YouTube. Stay with me. Keep it simple, right? There's no need to overcomplicate this stuff, guys. Do you really think Michael Marcus used a volume ladder? Do you think that Richard Dennis really used a VWAP? Come on. Of course they didn't, right? You don't need to do it either. Let's keep going. 16. Now, maybe you don't want to wait that long, right? Maybe you're saying, Joe, I can't wait, right? I'm all hopped up on Diet Coke and I can't wait this long for that trade to set up. Give me something now. All right, here you go. Now remember, the higher we go, the better the trade. So these are going to be short-term sell zones here. Short-term sell setups. 51.6, 53.2, 55.6, 57 even, 58.8, right? That's right about that same 58 area, right? So this down here is more aggressive, right? Remember, where is that trend going to become invalid on this chart? You got it. You guys are getting good. Right about here, right? On the 32, it was up here, right? On the 16, it's down here. So how can I get the best possible scenario for me to sell short? Get in up here, right? Wait for it to come up here. Now, last night, remember I told you guys last night, we had that short that triggered right at 58. Remember this last night? Last night I said this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, right? So I said, boy, that's really aggressive getting short there. And I meant it. It was. That was an aggressive sell short. I'm more of a conservative trader myself because I know that over the long run, I'd rather take fewer, more powerful trades. And if you agree with me on that, you're going to make a great partner in crime with me every day in our live trade room, and I'm excited to work with you. All right, so we got our levels overhead. I got some short-term targets here, 41.7, 38.5 below us here on gold. And then you can see we got this little trend line here as well. So that's also acting as some resistance. All right, let's keep going. Got my gold here in a very obvious and strong downtrend. And then how about that crude? How about OPEC? OPEC, how about that? We're watching it tumble today. I'm going, this is incredible. What is going on here? And then I read the news report. Of course, OPEC, right? They're going to publish every year. They publish their following year demand outlook, right? The global demand outlook for emerging markets and all the industries around the world. And they just slashed that outlook for 2015. So, of course, now we know, well, we've known this for a while, right? I mean, how long have I been talking about selling short on crude? Right? I love the news headlines. Boy, so we're actually really bearish on crude right now, huh? Duh, are you kidding me? Where have you been? Put down the remote control, turn off CNBC, and open up your charts. This has been obvious. Here we are. We finally pushed. Boy, I should be giving a round of applause for crude right now. We finally pushed below 92.98. I love it. We had the same problem, right? We were having the same problem on gold as we were having on crude. We kept on getting these wicks, and the wick kept on dragging us back above. Not anymore, though. Not anymore. Finally broke below the 92, went all the way down to 92, 91.21. I'm not sure why I didn't have that level on here from last night, but that should have been there, that 91.21. And that's, of course, everybody says, oh, hindsight, of course, 91.21 after the fact. Yeah. I'm a human being too. All right. So we know we got the daily chart on the crude showing us bearish here. Obviously, we know that from earlier on this week. We can see here January 9th, 2014, January 9th, 2015. I hate to make predictions here, but I'm starting to drink my own Kool-Aid here, guys. Starting to think we got the summertime driving season behind us. OPEC just slashed its estimates. They're getting their behinds whooped in Asia and Europe right now as far as their economy goes, right? And of course, our strong US dollar is making it easy to buy crude, right? Or making the price of crude less, what's the word I'm looking for? A strong dollar makes the price of crude cheaper in comparison. And what that does is that creates not a scarcity with a weak dollar, that creates, right, a lot more supply, right, for crude oil futures. And so that's what's pushing price down. All the fundamentals are pushing this price lower right now. And we can see as we go lower, long-term bear channel. We get a target down here at 90.58. We're only about $1 away. Only $1 away. That target's been on there for 3 weeks. Been watching this here for quite some time now, and it looks like everything is coming together here nicely. Now, how about some trading opportunities here for tomorrow? Now, I'll tell you, we got this awesome sell. If you remember 93.90, right? I gave you guys 93.90 on, what was that? No, it wasn't Tuesday. It was Monday, right? Monday night's newsletter, 93.90. So that was our short earlier this week, right? We got that short earlier this week. I told you guys last night, if you miss the short, you can't get selling right now. You got to hold it through your target. And I gave you guys a target last night too. Don't take my word for it. Go back and watch last night's newsletter. All right? I'll start tooting my horn all I need to, guys. Go back and watch last night's newsletter to see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see on Monday night, we called the short from 93.90. Last night, I gave you 92.26 for a target. All right, as well as the low of that trend line, right? Little trend line support. So we knew where we were going, and we also knew that in order for me to get short again, what did I need? Remember, what's my trend? Down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below the moving averages. The downtrend is obvious. Where's my setup? That's why I said last night, no selling here on crude if you missed that setup, right? So we held on to it, looking for that price to continue. If you want to get short here, you've got more opportunities coming your way. 92.58, 92.90. Here's my setups. 93.17, 93.36, 93.61. Okay, so trend is down. Where are my setups? I need a sell setup for timing purposes. The last sell setup we got on crude was actually Tuesday morning, right? 93.90. Now we're waiting for another sell setup so we can go all in again. We took our profit targets, right? We got the great profit targets. Now all we need here is to get back up into that sell zone again so we can get selling again. So patience here on crude. Patience here on crude right now. Now, could you be a buyer? Right? Could I buy up into that 92.90, 92.58? You can. You can buy on the way up. In fact, today we took a reversal off the lows on crude, made some cash on it, but I bailed on it. It's just so slow today. It was real slow today. So I'll be looking for potentially here some lower percentage buys. But remember, you try going against that trend, you mess with that bull, you're going to get that horn, right? So make sure, keep that stop tight. Take your profit targets quickly if you're going long here on crude. The smart money right now on crude is waiting for price to get up to test 92.58, 93.17, 93.36, so on and so forth. If you've been watching my newsletter for the last few years, you know this stuff works very well. But just like a parachute, this strategy only works if you use it, right? So don't just show up tomorrow and push buttons. If you want to push buttons, grab an Xbox or grab whatever the heck the kids are playing these days, right? Go on to social media and push some buttons there. Don't risk your hard-earned money. So we know what we're waiting for here on crude. I got my sell zones ready overhead. And as you can see here, we're not going to get much of anything different right now. A lot of this stuff's going to be pretty much the same here right now. Again, we're still looking a little bit weak right now. You'll notice they really couldn't quite get to that 91 big round number today. They tried, but remember, there was actually that 91.26, and I completely goofed it last night on the daily chart. I'm not sure how I missed it, but that 91.26 is the lower end of a daily chart trigger zone. Not sure how I missed it. Obviously found it today for us, and that would explain why we went to 91. What's that? 91. Oh, that's right. It was 21. That's what it was. Yeah, it was 21. What was that daily here on crude? We found that for you guys again. It was right here. Yeah, 91.21, right? Again, 91.21 is a trigger zone low off that daily chart. Don't ask me why I missed it last night. I don't miss many things, but I missed that one last night. 91.21 was that low. So at first glance, it looks a little bit surprising why we stalled out there. After you do a little bit more of your homework, you realize, of course, it's easy to see why. It's a daily support level. So clearly buyers stepped in, profit taking by the sellers. Fine by me. We were short from 93.90, so no worries there on our part. We were looking for profit up here, right? And then, of course, we had that trend line that we drew in right down here. So we know right now, waiting patiently, I've got a downtrend. Where's my setup? I have a trend line. That would be probably your earliest opportunity here for a nice high percentage opportunity to sell short. 92.50, very close to that 92.58 from the 32, 92.90. I've got 93.36 up to 93.63, right? A little swapperoo there, all right? Where would this trend become invalid? Where does the bear trend become invalid? You guys know this by now, right up here, right? Above 93.94, that's where this bearish trend becomes invalid. So if we happen to go right up the ladder here tomorrow, we're not out the woods yet, right? We're right in a position now to be a great seller. Remember, I would like to get short as close to the point where that seller trend, right, that bear trend becomes invalidated. And that would be right around that 93.60 area right up top, okay? So again, don't just push the buttons, follow the strategy we provide you guys. And also remember, tomorrow, like we do every day, we're going to come into our trade room. We're going to mark up the news. We'll make sure we're ready for the news tomorrow. We'll analyze the trends. We'll find the setups. And then we're going to wait to find those entry patterns. I give everybody in our trade room exact entries around those setups every day, right? In fact, I usually give you guys about a 5-minute heads up on the entry. So it's very easy for a new trader to come in and learn and earn with me. All right? Now, wrapping things up here, getting ready for tomorrow. We know tomorrow is a Thursday morning, September 11th, 2014. We've got some major news in just a few hours here coming out of China. Now, the Chinese manufacturing sector has been under fire lately. There was a recall for some bad food a while ago. There's been some disasters in the making regarding currency. There's been inflation concerns. So we are really looking closely right now at major news out of Asia and Europe. And remember, it's that slowdown in Europe and Asia that's causing this, pardon the pun, but the fuel to the fire here to the downside on crude. Okay? So we got 9:30 out of China, 9:30 out of Australia. Right, so 2 out of China here, 1 out of Australia here tonight. So be ready for those moves going into tomorrow. Then some minor news tomorrow morning from Germany CPI. I got France CPI, 2 o'clock, 2:45. I don't think that's going to be much of a mover. In my opinion, the biggest news on tomorrow's calendar are going to be tonight. We're probably going to see the Asian markets react. It'll then be picked up in Europe. I don't think that CPI number from France or Germany is going to be too much of a mover for us, but I would expect tomorrow to be a day of reaction to what happens in Asia. And then we've got minor news. Well, it's considered major news, but we haven't taken jobless claims seriously for about a year now, right? Jobless claims are kind of the stepsister of the non-farm payrolls, right? And we know that maybe not stepsister, the word would be jobless claims right now are very similar to the housing numbers after the whole housing crumble, right? We have a hard time telling the difference between a good report and a bad report right now. We already know what's going on. Heck, I'm doing it here in Los Angeles. Nobody's hiring full-time right now, right? What are they doing? They're hiring 3 temporary employees. That's what I'm doing, right? Obamacare makes it almost impossible for me to hire people these days. So full-time employees, what are they doing? They're taking jobs part-time. They're leaving the workforce, right? They're running out of their employment benefits, right? Their non-employment benefits. So there's a lot of reasons why these jobless claims are very, very skewed. Janet Yellen's told us the same thing, right? That's why she's been looking at the JOLTS report lately. So we know this jobless claim, it's billed as a Red Star News report, but again, I'd be lying to you if I told you I was going to give it really any credibility tomorrow morning. We'll wait and see what the reaction is to it, but I just don't think any smart money right now even looks at it right now because we know what's happening in the real world. Now, we do have news tomorrow from the Treasury budget. The Treasury budget, and of course the White House has been really bragging about this lately. The budget has been dropping significantly, right, over the past few years. So there'll be Treasury budget tomorrow afternoon. I honestly don't think, though, that there's going to be much reaction to these news reports in the U.S. I think we're going to get most of the reaction in Asia. So that means tomorrow morning when we open up in the U.S., the very first thing we're going to do is look at the overnight ranges. We're going to see if we've exceeded the average ranges. If we've exceeded the average ranges, then we're going to expect some range-bound markets tomorrow morning, and we'll watch and see what happens as the U.S. traders get to their desks. If you ask my opinion, though, tomorrow will probably be a little bit of the reaction to the news coming out of China. If anything crazy happens between Ukraine and Russia during the European session. And then remember, tomorrow is 9/11. So you have to assume there's going to be a little bit of emotion in the markets tomorrow. If anything, I would expect people to be a little bit distracted. I was looking over the reports for tomorrow, and it's difficult. It's difficult not to get emotional when you think about what happened. So guys, I would encourage you tomorrow, take a moment to be, first of all, thankful for your freedom, right? Be thankful that you were not controlled by hate, the cowards that did this, right? Those cowards that did this, they are infested by hate. Be thankful that we live in a world that we aren't controlled by hate. And if you are controlled by hate, get over it, guys. Life is way too short. Take some time to be thankful tomorrow for what you do have. If you're healthy, be thankful. If you've got food on the table, be thankful. A roof over your head, be thankful tomorrow. You got people around you love and who love you, and they know who you are and they still love you. Be thankful for that. So I think tomorrow is going to be one of those days where we're going to have some news out there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of distraction out there, and for good reason. So tomorrow, take a moment to remember, all right? Take a moment to remember why the United States was attacked, right? We were attacked because we're the greatest nation in the world, where the American dream still lives free. The American dream, to me, still lives today because I know that every second of every day I get a new trader in my trade room. They're living the American dream. The American dream is that if I want to be a doctor tomorrow, I can do that. If I want to be the next spaceship, right, pilot, I can do that. I want to be a heart surgeon, I can do that. That is what it means to me to be American. I don't care who I am, where I come from, what my race is, what language I speak, how much money I've got in my account, or who my great-granddaddy was. If I have the will, there is a way. And to me, that's what it means to be an American. Almost 15 years ago, I decided I wanted to be a day trader. And look where I am right now. I didn't go to Goldman Sachs. I worked my ass off. And I know that every single day, other Americans, other Europeans, other Canadians, Brazilians, Russians, Chinese, people from all over the world, right? You guys have that same vision. So I'll tell you, tomorrow's a really sad day, but we will definitely be celebrating the fact that we still have that fire that burns and the opportunity every day to go out in these markets and make a change for us, our family, the people around us. Well, I'll tell you, if that doesn't get you pumped up, if that doesn't get you excited for tomorrow, think about it. Very, very few people have the opportunity to change their life starting right now. If you want to do it, you can do it. That's the American dream. All right, I'm back off my soapbox, but I'll tell you, it's difficult not to get like that this time of the year. So I wish everybody a very happy, and I know it's difficult to be happy, but be thankful. So I wish you a very thankful 9/11 tomorrow. And hopefully, we'll get some great reaction to that news tonight. We'll see some opportunities tomorrow, and we'll be able to be thankful for a profitable trading session on Thursday as well. Guys and gals, thank you so much for being a part of our newsletter. Thank you for making my American dream come true. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, back in our live trade room. Signing off now from our corporate headquarters in the United States of America. My name is Joseph James. We'll see you in the morning. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.